Let's bring in Minnesota State Representative Aisha Gomez. Representative, thanks for joining us. You were out in the community this morning. I understand you just had an interaction with federal law enforcement. What happened?
I did. Anna, thank you so much for having me. So we had planned yesterday to have this conversation, and I'm not in a studio or even in my house. I'm in my minivan in my district. And the reason for that is because a number of us have been just out in the community in the mornings, you know, as our kids are going to school and just people are going about their daily lives. And so, like I have been, you know, since Renee's murder, I was out just with my neighbors on the corners and you know, I pulled somebody over. There was kind of an incident there just a block away from the school. I mean, I'm literally half a block from Renee's memorial. And a situation, I don't know how it started, but suddenly there are, you know, 30, 40 ICE agents. There are dozens of community members. A masked federal agent, right? A secret police. I have no idea who he was, shoved me. He didn't issue any verbal commands before he did so. Like, I think every person who's here was hit by mace, or if not worse, they were throwing canisters, which I think are tear gas. If my face is a little red and I'm sniffly, it's because I was going about my morning and I encountered masked secret police on the streets of a major American city, and they indiscriminately used a chemical munition on me. And Anna, I just, you know, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think it's so important that people understand what is happening. Minneapolis is a testing ground right now. We have thousands of shock troops. They are masked, they're unaccountable, we have no idea who they are. They're incredibly poorly trained, and they murdered one of my residents not a week ago. And now here we are, one block from her memorial, a community that is grieving, and they are indiscriminately using tear gas, which is banned by the Geneva Convention against civilians who are unarmed. Like Renee's wife said, we have whistles, they have guns. And I'm very worried for our country. I hope that people understand that Minneapolis is not, we're not special in some way. We're just being targeted. And this could come for any major American city. And people have to ask themselves, what is this democracy if we have a federal government that acts with impunity, with no regard for the rule of law, and brutalizes and murders its own citizens with no trial, no accusations, no right, which we're guaranteed under the Constitution, to answer our accusers? What kind of a country are we allowing ourselves to descend into as this authoritarian regime is on the march?
It sounds like that interaction was traumatic, and I hear that emotion and the deep concern in your voice this morning. We're starting to see more and more incidents of immigration officials in your state having these types of interactions with the public, and also, you know, grabbing people in public places like bus stops, places of work, people just off the street. The state, we know, is suing the Trump administration in an effort to get those federal immigration agents to leave. Here's some of what Minnesota AG Keith Ellison explained as far as the legal argument.
These poorly trained, aggressive, and armed agents of the federal state have terrorized Minnesota with widespread unlawful conduct. The deployment of thousands of armed, masked DHS agents to Minnesota has done our state serious harm. This is, in essence, a federal invasion of the Twin Cities and Minnesota, and it must stop.
Representative, tell us more about how these immigration enforcement actions are harming your state.
Honestly, Anna, I think to talk about it as federal immigration enforcement is to misunderstand and misrepresent the nature of what's happening on the streets here. This is not about immigration. This is not about public safety, certainly. You know, they'll get up and talk about how, oh, we're, you know, arresting the worst of the worst. Well, they're literally, they came and after they murdered Renee Good, their next action, Greg Bovino's next action was to go to a high school and pepper spray our kids. at dismissal time and our parents and our educators. Our schools were closed for 2 days last week because of that, because we can't guarantee the safety of our children in their schools amidst this federal invasion, as our Attorney General talked about it. This is not about immigration. This is about deciding that we're going to scapegoat and outgroup, in this case, Black and brown immigrant communities, particularly in Minnesota, the Somali community, and making them other and testing how far can we push it. Will people rise up if we murder someone in the streets? Will people tolerate that? Will people tolerate, as you said, coming to schools, to bus stops, to places of business, to hospitals? They're coming to hospitals. I mean, this is about a testing ground for an authoritarian regime that is very clear in what they want to do. They want to take our country over. They want to deny us the civil rights that are guaranteed to us in the Constitution, guaranteed to every person in this country, regardless of their immigration status.
Minnesota State Representative.
I really hope. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just appreciate the opportunity to talk to people. Thank you.
And we appreciate your voice and your perspective on what's happening there. Thank you for being with us.